All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Looks like there is around a 10-second lag on YouTube, according to at least my experience. Oh, lights. 10-second lag on YouTube and around a 5-second lag on Twitch today, which isn't too bad, but just so everyone knows the lag. Thank you all for joining. So today we are going to be working on horrible echo. Uh-oh, hold on. Did it get doubled up? Better now? There's always something with the sound, every time. So apparently I have two versions of the exact same input on I just upgraded to Catalina, and I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So, he's just on it. Yeah, I don't know. It must have been a Catalina upgrade thing. So, hey Sam, hey Larry. So now that you can all actually hear me, take two. Thanks. Happy Valentine's Day. Yeah, that's the red. My kids are wearing red this morning, and pink, because my daughter's obsessed with pink. So what we are going to do today is, let's share. We are going to be working on updating NovaPackages.com, which we recently converted to Livewire, to update the URL query string every time important request data changes. We're going to update the basic page, like just the normal Laravel page, so that if you refresh that page or send a link to that page, it will actually respect those query string changes. And then if we have time, I had some people this morning, or one guy this morning say he didn't like the fact that this new Livewire version only shows you 6 pages at a time, because one of the things he likes to do is just scroll through all of them, and he doesn't like having to navigate. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I figured one thing we could do is an easy win. So one of the things that he had mentioned was that, or somebody else had mentioned, was that Caleb will be making it easier to do, what's it called? Lazy loading, where you just kind of scroll down to the page and it loads more and more. But they said wait to do that until after Laracon Online, which is in 2 weeks. So right now I thought one stretch goal would be just to add keyboard shortcuts for pagination. And one possibility might be to add another row here, so we're paginating on 9 instead of on 6. That'll depend a little bit on just how I think about it in different browser screen sizes. But we might throw this up to 9 per page, and possibly paginate 6. And then another stretch goal would be this thing where we were saying, so when you're on a particular package type. And let's find a big package type that has, because we're not on a live one. When your particular package type, if it's got lots of pages, if you start searching, if you start searching, you might find yourself in a circumstance, or actually it's a better circumstance. Let's go here. You search for ABC and you don't see it, and you go, oh, you know what? I don't actually want an action, so you want to dismiss this tag. We had talked about putting like a little X here, so you keep your search query, but you drop the tag filtering. So that's another option. So infinite scroll, thank you. Hey, no worries, you didn't miss anything other than me messing up with audio once again. So that's what we're going to work on. So first thing, the latest version, not the latest, but more recent than when we started, versions of Livewire make it possible to automatically update the URL query string every time important request data changes. So let's get that working. So let's go to the Laravel Livewire documentation and see what it can tell us about query string. And look at that. Updating the query string. Sometimes it's useful to update the browser's query string when your component state changes. Perfect. For example, if you're building a search post component, just like we're doing, and want it to reflect the current search file, like so. All right, so this is exactly what we're talking about right now. You can add a properties name to protected updates query string, and Livewire will update the query string every time the property value changes. Perfect. So, are there any plans to add DOM manipulation functionality, or are we doomed to use something like Alpine.js? What kind of DOM manipulation? But my guess is that he's expecting that if you're wanting to do something you can't with Livewire, that it's going to be an Alpine. But I don't know. I don't actually know. All right, so okay, opening it up in VS Code. And we were talking about it's been a while since I've worked on this project, so I got to remember the name of my my Livewire component package list. Okay, so we're going to add a new thing here that is, oops, it's a protected something. I thought I copied it, but I guess it went away. Updates query string. And it's going to be an array of the properties on this that we want to have updated. So right now it's probably going to be tag, search, and page is my guess. So let's just try that now and see how it treats us. So as we switch tags, nothing happens. Okay. So let's take a look here and see what else we have to do. All right, so we're on a Livewire component. We create a protected property called updates query string. It's an array of keys. The keys reference the things that should be changing. So why is it not happening? Livewire is for Ajax, right? But there's some things like word counter that doesn't need Ajax calls to the server. I mean, I guess if you think that they don't need calls to the server, you either might want to use something other than Livewire, or you might disagree with the foundational premise of Livewire. But I'll let you have that conversation with Caleb. One of the things that he did in some of his early demos was show, I even think he even showed some things that shortcut around the calls to the server, but I can't remember exactly. But he was showing very simple things that you'd normally say don't require a call to the server, and even some of those used them. But yeah, that might just be a circumstance where you just don't use Livewire, but I don't know. Okay, but I want to focus on this. So we're not seeing that that thing work. Oops, that thing working the way we want right now. So let's make sure that we have the latest version. I don't even actually remember what is it Livewire/Livewire? Yeah, all right. Let's see. What is the latest version of Livewire? .7.4. And we're on 0.6.0. So we'll just bump it up to the 7 series right now. And see if that's what we needed for it. But yeah, I remember in some of Caleb's earlier demos, he was showing, I think, the possibility of something where it might have actually, like, certain things would have bypassed the calls to the server, but I don't think that's where it ended up. So I'm pretty sure if you end up in a circumstance where it's not just, hey, I think that, like, I foundationally am surprised that this is a good idea for the server call, but now that I've used Livewire, it turns out it's actually not a problem, and you've moved into, oh, no, you know what, this is just a thing that's a bad fit, then I think that's probably a thing that you're going to want something like Alpine for, or vanilla JavaScript or Vue or whatever else. So no, Livewire will not replace Vue. jQuery will continue in the Laravel community. Livewire will continue. Inertia will continue. Vue will continue. React will continue. I also don't think that Livewire will ever get as big as Vue, because Vue is as big as it is because of not just its presence in the Laravel community, but although Laravel was a big part of its growth, but also its presence in the non-Laravel community. But within the Laravel community, I do think that Livewire is going to grow a lot past where it is right now, because Livewire and Inertia are both a ton of fun to work with. And Livewire is, I think, is an easier onboarding for people who don't know Vue, and even people like me who do know Vue but who feel more comfortable in Laravel. I think Livewire is a really great fit in that context. Yes, it was very difficult to learn the layout on my keyboard, to the point where I, several years in, still don't feel like I'm as fast with this keyboard as I was with my old normal layout keyboard. While we wait for this to download, in case anybody's wondering what keyboard this is the Kinesis Advantage 2. I guess it's not II, it's actually just the number 2. And this is not the only one with this layout. I forget the name of this layout, but it's got a name. And the biggest shift that I had to make was the letters were actually pretty easy to learn, but the modifiers being on the thumb, and then the things that you use in coding a lot but not in your normal writing, those are the things that have been hardest for me to kind of learn. It's in part because I don't do as much coding every day as I used to, yeah, I'm average speed now. I used to be an extremely fast typist, but I got this keyboard because I was having horrible wrist issues. So, man, I do not know what is going on with this update right now. So while we wait on that, Let's see if there's anything else we can be hacking on. Update the basic page with respect query string data on new visits. So my guess is that just because it updates the query string does not mean, okay, here we go, does not mean that it's going to read it. So one of the things we're going to have to do there is once this query string is changed, we're still going to have to update. Yeah, it helped with my wrist issues a lot. Okay, cool. We're going to have to update our code to change to honor that. So great. So it is updating it. Great. Done. Upgraded Tailwind Livewire, and then added tracking for our query string. So that was super easy for basic variables that impact future loads. What happens you go for all packages, it shows that string. Well, the bigger question is what happens you go to the nasty one where it's this really janky thing that I don't want everyone to see? Yep, popular dash dash and dash dash recent, which is a bummer because that was not something I ever wanted and an average human being to actually see. I have tailored bakes turbo links in Livewire and a core Laravel. Nah. I mean, it like adding it, well, I don't understand why it would have to be baked in. Like it works, like adding it was basically no cost whatsoever. So yeah, I think a lot of people kind of get stuck thinking that a particular use case is the use case that everybody uses, but like plenty of people don't use any Ajax at all. Plenty of people use Laravel for APIs. And like the Laravel API people were like, you should get rid of all this front end stuff from Laravel, right? And then people who use it in the front end were like, you should bake more in. So you just got to recognize that like there's a reason why so many things are healthy as packages. Like I think that normalizing the use of things like turbo links, 100%, totally agree with you. And Livewire and stuff like that. But baking it in, I think that's definitely a little bit of a different story. Okay, cool. So we are now updating the query string. We have a question about whether we're going to kind of make this be less nasty or something like that. But right now, it's just whatever. It does the job. So let's figure out how to, but if we refresh, do we end up on the action page? And the answer is almost definitely no, because I never programmed it. Great, exactly what I thought. Thanks for following xkaylee xxxxx. One thing I love about Symfony and hate about Laravel is that a lot of components are separate packages. Yeah, I mean, I've heard the people complaining about the fact that Laravel's inherent things are bundled instead of separate packages. And so, like you're mentioning, Marissa, I certainly wouldn't want us to add any more. But one of the things I hate about Symfony that thankfully has grown a lot in the last few years is that for example, in the early days of Symfony, you didn't get auto wiring in your version of control container by default. You'd have to wire every single thing by itself. So what I like for me is that Laravel out of the box works the best for someone who's just learning it, because all of us who know enough to complain about something know how to get rid of it if we really care. I have yet to see a compelling reason why somebody needs to pull something out that's very difficult to pull out, because they don't like that they're there, but it's not actually harming them at all. So. All right, cool. So let's get to the point. So our next step is to make it so that if I come to this $tag equals action, that gets set. So what we really want to do is when this tag is set like this, we want to be able to pass that tag into where package list is being called, which I'm probably packages.index.blade. Home blade. Where are we actually calling this? This from welcome, maybe. Okay, package index. Wait, no, that's not that. That's the old Vue one. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, there's a package in. Why did that not work when I auto completed? Oh, of course, now it works. Okay, cool. So right here is where we're passing in Livewire. So the question is, can we just pass in tag to be something else like this, so that if we pull it from the query, then it's something else. So let's, for now, just manually set it to be partition. Tag partition. And I think in order to do that, we're going to have to then in the constructor or render or something, mount maybe, in mount, we might have to pull that. Yeah, here we go. Later when we're handling query string updates and blah, 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 blah. So let's just see what is, like where do we actually get the things that are passed in? Do we get something where tag is partition? Okay, cool. So I think this is just gonna be like data. is probably what's happening there. And when you run mount, you get whatever was passed to the second property here. So, yep, that's exactly what it is. Won't Livewire controllers in Vue make standard Laravel? No, absolutely not. No. I mean, like, yeah, no. Yeah, it's cool, but the idea that everybody's going to use Livewire for everything is definitely not the case for me. Just the same with what's it called, Turbolinks. Right? Turbolinks is used, but is definitely not globally used. So, okay, so we've got our data here. So let's just basically say if we pass in tag, page, and actually, you know what I should have done before I did this was make sure that tag, page, and search are all passed in there. All right, so search is, tag is, and then let's check out page. Great. So one thing to note here is that search is getting updated even when it's empty, which I don't like. That might be a feature to pull request up to Livewire is don't keep it in the query string if it ends up being null. Thanks for following Death by Code. Yeah, David. I mean, it's great. I wouldn't use it on everything all the time. It introduces complexity, just like any feature does. That I'm going to use when I want to use and not use when it doesn't seem like the right fit. And I definitely wouldn't just say we should use it all the time. It is cool though. Okay, cool. So step back. What did we just do? Okay, so potential pull request to Livewire or issue requesting to take query string params out once they become empty. And one thing I wouldn't notice for, or one thing I would note for that is it's possible that it does, but it's gone from being null, which it was originally, to now an empty string. And there might be like a thing that we would have to do that would like be on updated search. Let's actually just try this for a second. If this search, let's just do this. If it's at all nully, or falsy, then this search equals actual null. And I wonder if you make it actual null, does it get pulled out of the query string? So let's see. Action. It does. So that's the trick. I'm going to put this here. Prefer null over empty string to remove from query string. That was cool. Figured that out. Go team. Boom. Update search to set to null if empty, so it disappears from the query string. Okay, questions here. Which package are you using for OG? It's not a package, it's a custom blade directive. I don't even know where I put it. Yeah, here you go. Custom blade directive called OG, and it basically just pulls out the key and the value of it, and then echoes a meta thing. So I'll put this up on Laravel Tricks later, if I remember. Put OG blade directive up on Laravel Tricks. Okay. See if you can. Yeah, I've been giving VS Code a try for a couple months now. It's good. It's not as good in terms of its multi-select and Vim together in the same as Sublime Text is. So I basically can't use multi-select anymore because it doesn't work well with the Vim bindings. That's my most annoying piece about it. But everything else about it, I like it. You are very welcome, Emery. Emery. So we sort of have a prettier for blade. We've got T-lint, if anybody's not familiar with it. Not that one. Interesting. Somebody else came out with one and they're bigger than us. Oh no, that's TS-lint. Okay. So T-lint right here is a linter. I'll answer that in a second. Or sorry, just give me a second. If I can. So it's a linter for Laravel conventions, the Titan style Laravel conventions, and it's got plugins for all the major things. So you'll actually probably end up seeing it run in my code. Why don't you rebind the multi-select? Why don't I rebind the multi-select? I don't actually know what you mean. What multi-select is that, Marissa? Okay, so, oh, sweet, Nate. Okay, cool. So yeah, the hotkey. I'm sorry. That is interfering. Oh, I did. It didn't work. It's happened in a couple of the streams. So I'll do something like this. So I'll hit this, and part of it will start working. But then, you know, let's see. I'm trying to remember what do I do to trigger it. So it used to not work at all. We got to the point where it works a little bit, but now there's certain circumstances in which. Let me try to remember. What do I do all this? Okay, so first of all, one of them is we're at the beginning, at the end of the thing. So this one's at the beginning, this one's at the end. And it doesn't always go to the right like that. I don't know. Basically, on an almost daily basis, I'm able to put myself in a circumstance where the multi-select completely falls apart. So TLint doesn't do any formatting now, but we have talked about we actually have the beta of a formatter in there. If you just like TLint format, it'll try it, but it's pretty beta right now. So, okay, so back to what we were talking about before a minute ago. We were going to basically say if you, in the mount method, if you pass in data, and that data contains important things, then we will set them. So we don't want to take any data. Well, one thing we could do is just say for each data as key equals value, and just basically set them on the just like that, and that would certainly make the whole thing a lot simpler. TLint doesn't do TLint definitely does do blade, so it does. Yeah, no worries. TLint does blade. That's why I brought it up as a suggestion. Oh, so that's working. Obviously, we're not pulling it from the query there. But interestingly, we don't actually need to do it here now that I'm looking at it because, packagelist.php has access to the query string. So we don't need it. We can just do this. So if request has, let's see. What about this? Well, maybe we can do this. For each request only. And what we're doing, page, tag, page, and search. Although that's not helpful because that's not going to give us the key, is it? It's only going to give us the values, I think. Undefined variable request. Tag lens. Oh, we did get them both. Great. Okay, cool. This key equals value. Now let's, is that it? Is a nice formatter for Blade and VS Code. All packages I tried messed up the code. I'm not sure. I had one running and it always messed it up for me, so I don't use it anymore. I do have TLint running. So I'm trying to remember what, like, I think we could trigger it. I think that triggers it. Yeah, so you see TLint's running there, and then it says, put a space between the blade control structure names and the opening parens. And then when you hit it, so, but it's not a formatter, it's only a linter. Okay, so back to this. I believe this packagelist.php. So what we're saying is give me the thing for tag, search, page, and then set them on this packagelist instance. So what that allows us to do is if any of them are missing, it just doesn't set them. And we're not going to pull, if somebody tries to like hack us by like setting something else on here, which I don't know what it would be, they can't because we're using request only, not request all. So, so let's see if it works. So if I go to tag lens, let's go to one that actually has something. Tag base resource, and then I literally go to a brand new tab and I go to tag base resource. Boom, tag base resource. All right, so now if I'm in tag base resource and I'm going to search for a dashboard, oh, this my Algolia is not indexed, but whatever, it doesn't matter. If we're not getting results, we'll still at least see if the query sticks. So I go here, go like that, and that's interesting. That's not what I typed. I wonder how that happened. What about validating the value in the request nullable to get null instead of an empty string? Well, the thing is, I don't want it to stay in the request at all. If you're talking about search. If you're not talking about search, let me know. But the whole thing with null instead of an empty string is happening not just in the request, it's also happening when they're typing. So when I hit backspace here, the value search internally in Livewire is now set to an empty string. So in order to make it, when it's an empty string, become null again, has nothing to do with the query string. It's actually modifying the query string, not reading the query string in that instance. Okay, so let's see. Is there anything we have more than a full page of? It's frustrating if there's not. Nope. All right, so let's change our pagination down to like 2 items instead of 6 real quick. Which would be render package list paginate 6. Oh no, that'd be this one over here. Right? Because that's yeah, okay. So paginate 2, R2, save. Cool. All right, so we're on page 2. So that should be Google Analytics and package discovery. And I know I can just hit refresh, but I'm doing this for people to see it a little bit more clearly. And look, we're still on tag action. We're still on Google Analytics. We're still on package discovery. So I think we did it. I think that was really fast, and we still have half of a stream left. So we're going to hit some stretch goals today. Let's see. Update mount. Okay, let's try that again. When people try to do these like smart code things, sometimes it really drives me nuts. All right, update mount method to pull page search and tag from query string if set. So I kind of think that's it for that, which was update the basic page request query string data and new visits. So I think we're done to the point. Yeah, we're done with that first goal in 30 minutes. Way to go, Caleb. And 5 minutes of that was dealing with audio, and another 10 minutes of it was just explaining things. So let's review, commit, and then move to our stretch goals. So when we change any of the 3 important things, which are tag, search, and page, then it is persisted to the query string. And when we refresh and visit again, the query string is honored along those 3 lines. And so now we have basically a full kind of like push state for this. So let's go take a look. Oops, let me, oh, you know what? I never tweeted out that I was streaming like I normally do. I looked over to my thing to try and hit the button, and I realized I never actually hit the let's go button. Wah, wah, wah. After upgrading to Catalina, my Stream Deck, oh, it wouldn't have mattered. My Stream Deck wouldn't have mattered, wouldn't have done anything because, oh man, my Stream Deck's totally unhooked from OBS now because of upgrade to Catalina. Who knew that would have done something? Let's just hit pause with me. What do you use for your note keeping? It is Notion.so. Okay. Which is sort of like a slab or, you know, whatever else replacement. One thing I like about Notion is it makes it really easy to share these notes publicly, though. Okay, so so I was hiding it really quickly so I can go over to GitHub Desktop so I can make sure that GitHub Desktop is on the correct project. And now I can bring you all back. Not using my Stream Deck. Share full screen. Okay, cool. So let's look over here. What have we done? We've upgraded Livewire. And we have track and honor, page, tag, and search query string params. It was a really good way for me to, well, I guess I was going to say I could go to twitch.tv/Matt Stauffer and see how far the stream is behind. Let's just do that. I'm going to do that for fun. It's going to be like well, actually, how would I do that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 4 seconds behind on my machine. Okay, cool. So what are we going to do next? Stretch goals. Add keyboard shortcuts to pagination for Stefan Bauer and possibly paginate at 9 instead of 6. So let's try paginating at 9 instead of 6 because that's an easy win. So search can paginate at 9. Well, okay, hold on. Let's imagine a couple different devices and figure out what a 9 paginated would be. Oh, this is weird. I thought I'd fix this. Cannot find element app. Okay, that might be a thing we need to do as well. Fix cannot find element app view warning on home page. Okay, so I wanted more than 9 things tagged action. Oh, you know, we can just do all packages without the search. There we go. Okay. All right, so we've got lots of packages. Apparently, I just didn't tag them super well. So what we want to do is test out on different screen sides, because on my local, you can see that 6 feels really good. However, I am also zoomed. Well, I'm not zoomed in that much, but on NovaPackages.com, it feels a little different because we all of a sudden have more than one popular package. And so 6 starts to feel a little small. Now, interestingly, this page fits just fine, but once you scroll down here on my screen, it starts feeling like you can throw another 3 on there. But it's not just about that, it's also about what would make the most sense for people with various devices. So let's imagine I was using this on an iPad. And how do you flip them? There we go. Okay, so I was using it on an iPad. 6 is a pretty good page, so I'm not really interested. And if you're using an iPhone, I definitely don't want to have to scroll. Oh, what's going on there? Oh, pagination still too. I thought I'd fix that. Gosh darn it. Fix pagination links being too wide on mobile. Okay, yeah, so the idea of having to scroll down 9 to get to a next page, I'm not sure if it's something I totally love. So I'm kind of leaning away from that unless anybody here feels super strongly that we should need movement 9. But one of the things that Stefan was saying was that he would be interested in it being able to kind of browse through them really quickly. And I agree, like having to click through pagination in the mouse, especially as you can see the dots are changing and shifting, this can be a kind of a pain in the butt at times, especially if you really want to click through them. So let's do keyboard binding, especially because it's just a fun thing to work on. Let's see what keyboard modifiers, well, not modifiers. I don't want a modifier, I want an actual, oh, maybe there's just key down events somewhere else. Here we go, triggering actions, key down, wire : key down equals. So we have to figure out what the name, so this is keydown.enter, so let's see what like the key for left and right are going to be. My guess is it's going to be whatever JavaScript calls them. So this is what happens when you press that key when you're in a particular input. I'd love to see what happens when can we put it on the entire component instead? And I don't know if that's something he actually kind of allows for here. Let's see if there's anything that makes this super clear. And if not, then we might have to integrate some JavaScript, which would be a fun challenge too. All right, so we want to do it in the package list blade thing here. So let's just see, can we just put it at least here? Wire keydown.enter equals, and then we'll have to have something that's doing. Oops. All right, and then so we're going to say wired at keydown equals test. Okay, so the question is, can I hit enter and have it go to test? And the answer is no. So my guess right now is the only way this is bound is when I'm actually in a particular input. Which is basically, now it's possible that this is causing this problem for another way, so let's just take a second and just see what happens when I click on this input. Yep, so the binding works fine. Oop, that's interesting. Okay, So one of the problems I'm noticing here is that when I navigate through here, I don't get actual true push state. So if I hit back, I just go back. So we're going to have to say add issue /PR to Livewire to add push state browser history when query string is modified. Is there something extra to do when installing TLint in VS Code? Install the composer globally and restart to VS Code after extension. Yeah, you need. I don't know. You'll have to go on the. I mean, I'm sure there are things to do, but this is. We could spend the next 25 minutes hacking in that. So if you put an issue up on the TLint repo, I'll make sure that the TLint folks at Titan take a look at it. All right, so we are getting the point where this. Oops. Good Lord. Value equals. This is what I was trying to do here. Okay, cool. So, but if I hit it, so it does do that correctly. So this wire : key down dot whatever works on an input, but it doesn't work on just a div. So as far as I know, that means we're gonna have to be doing this binding in JavaScript, which is cool because we're gonna have to figure out how do I modify Livewire stuff with JavaScript. And actually, let's think about that. How do you do that? How do I have a JavaScript binding, modify Livewire without forcing a full page reload? Is it possible? Is it really obvious? Is it documented? Thanks for subscribing, Augusto. There you go. Check a look. You can use @this.set so we can modify them there. All right, so let's do something fun. So JavaScript bind to arrow keys. Let's just see if we can do it in vanilla JavaScript without having to pull in something else. Here you go. Boom. Okay, so, and he's actually mentioning this idea to use a blade stack, which I love, to push it. So let's do that. So we're going to go to our app layouts, app.blade.php. We're going to put a stack down here called scripts, and then we're going to push onto that and push, and then we're going to put our, this is assuming jQuery, but it doesn't need to be jQuery. Although I am curious, how do you do, oh, this is, oh, no, that was a fully jQuery example. I want a JavaScript one. E.which is normalized for pure JavaScript. First two lines with document.edown. Key down is function. Okay, so this is the non jQuery version. Okay. So let's see if this works. I'm sure there's something I'm missing here. Just to do a console log. Oh, come back. Console log every time I hit the left arrow. All right, left arrow and go. Oh, okay. Let's try this. Okay, so we're not even seeing that be bound. So let's see if my push stacks is not working. Okay, so this isn't even getting pushed in. That would explain why. I'm sure that I used my stack wrong, so let's figure that out real quick. We have our layout app.blade.php that has a stack. That's how stacks work, right? Yep, stack scripts, just like I was doing. Stack scripts, yep. And then we push into it, yep, with the name. Push into it. @push scripts. The push does not have to be Well, that's interesting. So in he's doing it in the body here. I thought push could happen outside of a section. I think it can, because I don't even think it makes sense within a section, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, what am I missing here, everybody? I'm sure it's something. I mean, honestly, what I'm inclined to do is just throw this where that stack script is right now until we figure out what's actually going on. Yep, there you go. So, well, it's being bound twice now. Console.log outside the event listener. Is that what I did? What? No, because this console.log was right here. But it's running twice now, which kind of makes me think that I just needed to refresh a couple more times or something. Nope. What is going on? See, you can see because in my stack, the console.log is inside the listener. Now it's outside of the switch, but it's inside the listener. I was just trying to get ABC. What? So if I throw it in here, I get it 0 times. If I throw it in here, which is right next to where it's supposed to be, I get it 2 times? Oh, because I hit multiple keys. Wait a second. Yeah, what is going on? Oh, okay, well, whatever. I'm sure it'll be super, super obvious when I watch this later. And a whole bunch of people on YouTube will be like, you missed this totally obvious thing. What's wrong with you? Okay, cool. So the binding's working. So now we should be able to bind on left. Great. Left works. And then right works. He says before actually testing to see that right works. There we go. Cool. So we have right and left working. I won't worry about up and down for right now. I'll get rid of all this stuff. All right, great. So what we want to do here is at this dot. So it has this dot set. Oh no, it wasn't the keyboard thing. It was the JavaScript thing that we were looking at. Can I call? I can call an action. All right, so at this dot call, and then there's like I think it's previous page is what it's called, and then at this dot call next page. That'd be cool if it was that simple. All right, so we need to go on. Oops, sorry, y'all can't see the rest of that. We need to go to something with lots of pages, and then hit left and right. Oh, it doesn't work. Dadgummit. Invalid syntax error. Okay. What's my syntax error? Is it the at? Invalid syntax error. I betcha when I do this, it stops having that same syntax error. I betcha. Yep, it's that at. So what's the trick here? Oh, look at this. At this directive compiles the following string for JavaScript to interpret. I was going to say I'm pretty impressed that he did that. But so what he's doing is if you do this within your Livewire component, it gets compiled correctly. So unfortunately, we don't have this at this thing conveniently in here. So actually, you can't even let this. So let's just do this. Okay, so that's probably what we need to do. Unreferenced component is not defined at document. Oh, component ID. Right. So I don't know if we have access to that. So that's probably not going to work. So really, in order to make this whole interacting with JavaScript thing work, we actually just have to figure out why my push and pop is not working. All right, let's go back to that and figure out why it's not working. Anybody tell really clearly why it's not working? Package list.blade.php. The only thing I can tell that's different is that in his example, it's like in line with his components blade view, but my components blade view has like an extends and stuff. So you know what? Maybe if we put it on the parent instead, let's try that. I don't think that's going to work though. Let's just try it. Let's just try it. Your video's stuttering sometimes a lot. Ooh, I'm sorry everybody if you're all having this problem. Our internet was a little bit slow today, although I'm a little bit surprised. Oops, dot key down. Still not working. I'm losing my mind here. Sorry, everybody. I had no idea what was causing trouble today. I'm getting green sends on my... Oh, yep. 3,995 drop frames. 4% of frames have been dropped. Although I don't actually know if that's a big deal relative to normal, now that you mention it. Oh, wow. That's really bad, everybody. Well, this one might not stick around on YouTube next time. I don't know what's going on with the internet at the office today, unfortunately, so I don't even know how to fix it. So, goodness. Well, yeah, OBS shows me as green, which is its way of saying you're sending plenty of stuff over the wire. I don't know, y'all. I'm sorry about that. But funnily enough, at this particular point, I'm stuck anyway. Can you push up to ancestors? Well, can you push up to ancestors? Yeah. As far as I know, you can push the whole way up. I mean, the push doesn't care how far up it is. You're just pushing on the stack from anywhere in the descendant tree. All right, so let's, hey, Aries, let's take a break for a second with our brains. So we are trying here. Let's try this right now, real quick. And just say, hello, world. So in theory, if we have in app.blade.php stacked scripts, and then in a child thing we have push scripts, then we should see hello world. And we do. So the problem might not be that. It might actually be the whole script replacement thing, which would be gratifying if it was not my fault. Let's try it down here again. And once again, replace this with hello world. Oh, hold on. Let's make sure I cut that, not deleted. Hello world is still there. So had nothing to do with not understanding stacks and push correctly. It's because something about the way Livewire does its whole magic script replacement thing. Oh, and now it's working. Goodness. Yeah, it's working fine now. It's right there. So, and now there's that component ID thing he was talking about. It replaces at this with that. So, awesome. So that doesn't mean our keyboard bindings are going to work. Oh, but they are. Look at that. I have no idea why that didn't work. Yeah, you all saw it happen. All right, so look at this. Stefan Bauer. Left and right. Yeah, I fixed it by changing literally nothing. Left and right pagination options. Keyboard shortcuts. Look at that. Isn't that fun? That was pretty cool. All right, so let's look at the diff on that. We can get rid of test. Typos. And then the stack. Oh, and we can get rid of that whole wire.key down here. So what have we done here? We have added left, right, or add left, right keyboard navigation to paginated sections. I don't blame VS Code. That works for me. All right, cool. So that was our first stretch goal. What was our second stretch goal? We got 10 minutes. We're blazing through these today. Oh, hold on. Let's update it. Update or add left, right key binding to pagination. Hold on just one second, everybody. Okay, cool. Great. So what was our next stretch goal? Allow for dismissing the currently selected tag with a little X next to it when searching. Oh, that's fun. I'm excited about that one. Let's do that one real quick. Considering how quickly it loads, I wonder if it's possible to have Livewire only display loading if it takes long X time to get the response. In this case, I'd want the loading to not show if it takes practically no time, so loading thing. Yeah, it's a really interesting challenge. I'm going to put that in our future notes. Thanks, Marissa. And I wonder if even if you can't do that with Livewire, if there's actually a way to use CSS where every single time the thing gets shown, it takes a second to like fade on, but you can do a sharp fade. So really what happens is every time it gets displayed, it takes, you know, whatever, 0.5 milliseconds or 5 milliseconds or 50 or whatever it ends up being to show up. And so if it gets turned on and that CSS fade has not actually finished before it gets turned off again, then you wouldn't see it. So that'd be interesting. Okay, so what were we doing? Oh, a little X here. So let's do that. So interestingly, we could, I kind of don't love this this UI anyway, so let's see if we can say right here, we're gonna do a little doohickey. That's a technical term. And then right next to it, we're gonna do another doohickey. And it's gonna say, so what is it? Wire :click equals tag equals null. I'm sure that's way too easy. Let's just try it real quick. Transitions with CSS or debouncing JavaScript. So the problem is debouncing JavaScript would require it not to be magic, but it is magic. So we can't do it because it's a Livewire magic. But the CSS transitions is what I was thinking about. Oop. Just refresh the chat. Sorry, y'all. Just throw this in here. Okay, so let's see. When I click it, does it make it go away? Oh no! There's some way to do it, but I feel like you have oh, maybe you have to do like backticks like that in order to do it. Nope. I feel like there's a way to do it where on the wire click here, you run an operation here. Andreas says, what happens if you try to get the next page with error when there's not any next pages? PackageList.php's next page method. Nope. Livewire's next page method. Keeps incrementing it. Wow. I was sure that it was smart enough to only increment it if it wasn't past the last page. I'm really glad you caught that. Because I had originally written a custom one. And nice catch. Look at that. So we need to override with pagination. Well, yeah, no, I want to override the next page and previous page methods to be smart enough to only do that when the count is, let's see, what is our count? Parameter. How do we actually know the count? We might have to get into like the pagination view territory. This is clever. When you're updating the query string, this makes it so that page 1 does not update the query string. Nice, Caleb. Okay. So many things happening in the brain right now. What are we trying to do? We're trying to fix the thing that we just pushed out before we work on the other thing. So let's fix the thing we just pushed out first. Man, I really thought that it handled that already. Okay, so let's just grab this first thing. We're definitely going to overload these. So let's overload them ourselves. We might also fix next page / previous page to disallow overflows. And we might want to consider doing that in our own thing. So let's go take a look at our pagination links thing, because I bet you if we go to Tailwind, beta pagination, we'll see what the count is. Paginator on first page. Oof. So the paginator itself is smart enough to know how to do that. Thank you, Yannick. That was what I was looking at. It was the $ set magic. So unfortunately, we have to now go look into where's its has more pages definition coming from. Because basically, the has more pages and all that kind of stuff comes from count. Do we have like a count thing on our paginator or something like that? Where could I put that? I don't want to die and dump it. I feel like we're getting down a little bit of a... I'm really glad you caught that, Andreas. Thank you. I don't think it's going to be count, but let's just take a look. Yep, it's not count. Is there a way to figure out all the variables you have access on a Livewire instance? I'm just wondering what does... Okay, so with pagination, oops, not the reference, go to the definition. It gives us a paginator. What does paginator use? Oh, you know what? It's on the packages. That's what it is. Duh. The packages has its package information and pagination information on it. So it would be... we would have to save this packages probably on the component itself. So let's see. How do you get the number of pages off of a page? What comes out of paginators? Pagination length aware paginator, I think. Yes, and it has a last page and a... Yeah, so fixing the previous page is going to be easy. Basically, going to say if this page is greater than 1, then this page, you know, is this page minus 1. That's super easy. This is one's going to be tougher, which is this page is going to be less than whatever count is, then do it. And so we need to be able to pull count off of the packages. So every time we pull in packages now, we need to have to be able to say this dash page count equals our total pages maybe equals packages, and then what was it called? Last page. Let's just try that maybe. Thanks for subscribing, Kwame Adoko. Get defined vars. Yeah, good point. And then we'll have to do it here as well. And then anything else that renders a list of packages also. I guess this one doesn't have pagination. So now we have this total pages variable. And then I guess we should set total pages to 1 here. And okay, length aware pagination. I wonder if it's like get last page or something like that. Hold on, I gotta take a phone call real quick, everybody. Give me just 1 second. All right, I'm back. Sorry, everybody. So let's see if we can solve this one problem. So we need to be able to get the last page off of a length-aware paginator. And sometimes it's faster to Google it and find it in this old documentation here than it is to try to hunt it down when I have the vendor directory ignored in my IDE. Last page. Thanks, Yannick. Or it's even faster if somebody just looks it up for you. Perfect. Actually, this is total pages. So in every place where I said last page, I just will say last page, like that. Okay, great. Did that work? Oh, of course it won't work off the bat. Okay, so if we go to all packages, let's go to action because there's no more pages. Okay, so we might have caught it. Now let's see if it's working on all packages that does have things. Okay, we can't go previous to page 1, which is good. And let's say we go to page 67. We can go to 68, but we can't go to 69. Thank you very much for catching that. So we are unfortunately not going to get to our stretch goal. So let's go undo the work we did there, which was, I think in here. Yeah, it was this stuff. Next time we'll just have to jump onto that. Why was that in A? Okay. All right, so let's see what we did. Total pages equals 1, total package equals 1, total pages is package last page, and then fix next page, previous page to disallow overflows. Sweet. And I understand why Livewire doesn't do that by default, because you have to be doing this thing where you're modifying total pages every time you're doing a pagination call. Can't you pull the declaration of total pages out of the if-else statement instead of duplicating? You might be able to. Good catch, now that you mention it, because they both will end up with a length-aware paginator, right? Yep. Great point. Thank you. Simpler. I like it. All right, so just test again. It is fetching a new page, which is weird because nothing's actually getting modified. So that's an interesting thing. I mean, it's not like it's going to be a big problem, but I am a little surprised because when we hit next page, nothing changes. But it must be something about if you call a method, it has to call. Yeah, that's what it is. Because this logic exists on the server, so it has to call to see if anything should actually change. So, okay, cool. So, good work, team. Thank you for all of y'all's help. So what we're doing is going to say, avoid pagination overflow when using keyboard shortcuts. Thanks again, Andreas. All right. So we made it that far. We did not end up getting to the dismissing the currently selected tag, but we did avoid pagination overflow. Hey, 100 messages today with Restream chat. That's fun. Thank you, everybody. What's Titan's CMS of choice if you reach for one? We kind of tend not to. I mean, we have a lot of love for Statamic and Craft. So those would, but the last time we actually did anything with the CMS has been quite a while. But those would be the two for sure. Statamic and the Laravel on the static side, and then Craft on the, the more old school, everything lives in the database, better than WordPress and Expression Engine. We actually have used WordPress once recently. Because we needed a really easy authoring interface that ended up spitting out an API that Laravel consumed. And so that was actually a perfectly fine choice for it. But yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Yeah, we don't use October. We are poking around at Twill a little bit, although Twill, I think, is like probably half admin generator, half CMS, although I'm not sure. But yeah, I know a lot of people who use, who very avidly advocate October, but I have not used it. So. All right. Thank you all for hanging out. Good work, team. And I will see you all next time.